place economic stability and confidence. The pandemic are proper critical to lead of this minister and the I've always said there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which I
no matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe that it's not about the company who can come and salvage us from where we are.
Representing people, Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
and will place economic stability and confidence. The pandemic are proper critical to lead of this minister and the I've always said there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which I
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe that it's not about the company who can come and salvage us from where we are.
Representing people, Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
and will place economic stability and confidence. The pandemic are proper critical to lead of this minister and the I've always said there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which I
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe that it's not about the company who can come and salvage us from where we are.
Good morning and welcome to Open Air on Atlantic Television Network. Open Air is the network's flagship political platform through which trending political news, events and stories are discussed with stakeholders. Through these conversations, ATN uses political talks about specific issues, party system and actors to explore hope and engender positive impact to the society. Today on Open Air, we look at the stories. First, River State. Court nullifies APC congresses. And then on to Edo State. PDP louds reinstatement of local government chairman and vice. On Oyo State, APC accuses Obi of playing politics with Stampede. On Kano State, NNPP decries attempts to arrest governor's spokesperson. Federal government denies plot to destabilize Nigerian government. Still on Stampedes, Amnesty laments starvation, poverty under Tinubu's government. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll delve right into the show. Do not go away.
Representing people, Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
and will place economic stability and confidence. The pandemic are proper critical to lead of this minister and the I've always said there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which I
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe that it's not about the company who can come and salvage us from where we are.
Representing people, Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
and will place economic stability and confidence. The pandemic are proper critical to lead of this minister.
Representing people, Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
and will place economic stability and
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is Living Gifting Jamala, Esquire. Living is a legal practitioner and political analyst. Good morning, Living, and welcome.
Thank you, Choma. Thank you, ANT. It has been a while.
It's been a while. Actually, I was going to say that it's been a while. It's good to have you back.
Thank you very much for having me.
And also joining me on Open Conversation is Ugochukwu Ifeanyichukwu, a political analyst. Good morning, Ugochukwu, and welcome.
Good morning, Laurentia. Good morning, Barrister Gift. I've heard your voices all over the radio stations in Port Harcourt, and good to meet you today in person. And they have hidden some of your accolades. Good morning, Rivers people, Nigerians. And again, we are winding down the year 2024 with all its hardship and non-progressive government policies. Laurentia, I still commend the Nigerian parents, the resilience of the Nigerian people in trying to, navigate through these rough times. And my hope is that they navigate to the end, and let's see what 2025 holds in stock for all of us.
Right, very well. And then on to the story. River State High Court in Port Harcourt has nullified the congresses of the All Progressive Congress in the state. The court's decision follows a contempt of court proceeding filed by the embattled chairman of the party, Emeka Beke. The court had earlier issued an order stopping the conduct of the congresses in the state, but the APC went ahead to hold the process, prompting the embattled members of the party to return to court. Justice Godswill Obomanu, after listening to the presentations and submissions of the councils, nullified the congresses of the party, citing contempt of court. The ruling effectively renders the congresses which produced Chief Tony Okocha null and void. Let me start with you. Finally, this development is the latest in a series of controversies surrounding the APC congresses in Rivers State. Barrister Jamala, what do you make of this story?
Choma, I think the APC has refused to learn from its own woes that personally inflicted. Was
that 2019?
2018, 2019.
Yes.
When some of their members decided to be willing tools for the other political parties like the PDP to thrive on. Now, in 2018, prior to the 2019 election, there are the issues that arose at that time. First was for the Congress, selection of leadership. Now, it was mixed with the inter-parties primaries preparatory for 2019 general elections. And so when my Lord, Honorable Justice Nwogu then gave another interim preventing the holding of the congresses, the APC then in its own wisdom proceeded with that congress, and we're all aware what happened. The congresses was declared null and void for being flagrant abuse of court's orders, and whatever that was placed on it, talking about the primaries, was also brought down, having no foundation to grow on. And so that's ordinarily, APC would have learned from that bitter lesson of not having candidates throughout the entire states in that 2019 election. But yes, the persons who then were clamoring for democratic procedures, tenets to be respected in the APC, sadly, are the ones in charge of the affairs and are been seen to repeat the exact mistakes that they cried foul about. And so I now ask myself, it seems politicians, when it is favorable to you, you sing hallelujah, but when it is not, you cry to the heavens. But what the court has done is something even the Supreme Court, remember the Supreme Court said you cannot benefit from your own stupidity. That was the decision of the Supreme Court in Ibrahim Umar, the case of 2018-2019. And so what the court did, yes, we have been given an interim order. Hold on with your congresses. Why the rush? Why not take the legal steps, at least to vacate that order? When that order is vacated, you can now proceed. You have been acting as a caretaker committee chairman for the past 6 months, giving yourself the next 1, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. Wouldn't have brought them to this sad end that they have found themselves. But like we said, it is a court of first instance, but if we are to follow judicial precedents, Rivers State being the pace setter negatively when it comes to some political activities, then I do not see the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court setting aside the judgment. It's a very strong judgment based, rooted in law. Rooted, the judgment is rooted in law.
All right.
Tony Okocha and his leaders or members have been operating. Remember the caretaker committee also, in quote, they set aside by the court of law. But they still parade themselves as caretaker committee, then conducted the congresses. So even that congress, from whichever angle you look at it, we were not conducted by the rightful leadership of the political party.
Now, there have been arguments in some quarters. I also have had one of the APC SEC members on my show, particularly after this Congress was held, and I asked him, why were you at the Congresses? Because, I mean, when I was reading the news, his name was in the news, and he was seated right by my side.
Yes.
And after that, and I asked him, your name is in the news. Why did you attend that Congress? Knowing fully well that he has always been the person saying the governor should obey court order. So why did you and your party in this instance that have been vocal in critiquing the governor's certain positions when it comes to court judgments? Why have you been the one? Why are you now the one disobeying court order? Now, moving forward, the answer that he gave me was that the court does not have jurisdiction in the first instance to even give that order. He now said that there was a first order from the Federal High Court, and they vacated it at the appeal court. Now I ask the question, why didn't you make a move to vacate this one from the Rivers State High Court? He's saying that the Rivers State High Court lacks jurisdiction to entertain that matter. So now, what do you have
to respect it? That was the same mistake or the same ignorance the APC then wallowed. But the issue of jurisdiction is something that sometimes it marvels me. Now, a court lacks jurisdiction with respect to internal political affairs, but not to the interpretation of the sections of that constitution of the political party. So members of the political party have not been able to separate these two tiny issues together. To
I was
say,
actually coming to that.
yes,
That was actually my next question.
To say, when does a political party, when does a court has jurisdiction, and when does a court fails to have jurisdiction? Issues that call the cause for the questioning of the provisions of the party's constitution are something that you will lay before the court. But now, there are other things that will preempt or evoke the jurisdiction of court, like what they call internal mechanisms. Now, in Ibrahim Umar, I actively participated. In Ibrahim Umar, the argument of the then APC leadership in quote is that these persons who alleged to first bought the forms and they were refused or denied the forms never passed through the internal mechanisms of the party to ventilate their grievances before coming to court. There is what they call in some agreements, one they call a pre-action notice, that if we are entering into a contract and you intend to take me to court, if I breach a contract, you must give me a pre-action notice depending on the terms of the agreement, some 30 days, some 2 weeks, some 7 days. Then there are some other agreements that state before you take me to court as a party in that contract, you must first explore an ADR.
Okay.
So if you fail to take these steps, you cannot jump into the court. It is a prerequisite for you to institute an action. So for the APC and PDP constitution is well stated. If a party is aggrieved, you must pass through the internal... A party member is aggrieved, sorry. You must pass through the internal mechanisms of dispute resolutions of the party before you can make your actions in court, because the party cannot stop you from exercising a right provided for in the constitution. So, but you must pass through the internal mechanisms. And the Supreme Court has held that political parties' constitutions is like a court. For you to belong to an association, you voluntarily decide to belong to that association, and therefore you must be bound by the provisions of that law. And if you're no longer satisfied with the provisions of that law, of that association, you back out. But for the fact that you intend to remain a member, you must be seen to be bound by the provisions of that constitution. So for whoever that is saying that the court lacked jurisdiction and therefore in their own wisdom they will not follow, the evil days are close. Right. They will just wait to see those evil days.
Rivers State APC was not on the ballot, and then we had that play out in Zamfara State some time ago. You also know that some people are in the business of, if I can't get it, let us pull it down. Again, it takes me to what Peter Obi refers to as a state capture. If those political actors are not being, leveraging on the federal might or whoever is beating the embers of this crisis for them, giving them the hope that we are there. After all, every case has been won in Rivers State at the first course of instance. That's even funny. Once there is a case in Rivers State instituted, maybe by going by what they call the jurisdiction of the court, given the case in sight, most of the cases of the governor and those in his camp, those in APC and APP and all that, have always been within the state high courts. And when they go there, they also obtain their own judgment to the uhuru of the governor and his camp. But immediately that particular case is appealed, goes to the higher court, you see to a sense that those cases are being quashed. Because I had Tony Okocha before this issue started. I had Tony Okocha because I was seated in a station where Tony Okocha came for a live program. Tony Okocha, the anchor of the program, asked him, now that the case, that was when he was parading himself as the CTC of APC in Rivers State, and said that a case is instituted against you. What do you make of the outcome? Why not wait for the outcome of the state? He clearly stated that he has already preempted the outcome of the case in the lower court, that he will appeal the case, and he is of a hope that he will get judgment at the Court of Appeal. That is Nigeria. So he went ahead to do what he is doing, even when a state high court has already invalidated his CTC chairman. He now went to appeal. That appeal is still not hard till today, but they have went ahead to organize a congress where the chairman of PDP national, in the person of Ganduje, has sworn him in the flagrant disobedience of APC. Ganduje has sworn him in as the authentic chairman of APC in Rivers State. In the flagrant disobedience of that particular case, he has appealed, have not been heard. So you see, to a sense that...
There are two different, you're mixing it up.
No,
you're mixing it up.
Okay.
There was a case, there was an injunction from a federal high court barring River State Congress.
Yes.
And Tony Okocha's faction appealed it in the appeal court, and they got stay of they vacated that.
Okay, for the Congress.
Then another few days to the Congresses, there was another court injunction, this time around from a River State High Court.
Yes.
But you understand?
Yes.
And they did not vacate that one. They just went ahead with the Congress. So this judgment is coming in line with the second injunction that they did not vacate.
No, you're talking about, I know where I'm coming from. You're talking about the cases surrounding the Congress. But I'm talking about the case in hand that authenticated the Emeka Beke-led APC. That is what I'm talking about. They also appealed it, but it has not been heard. It has not been heard. It has not been heard.
Hold on. If you're talking about that one, then there was another case, probably I'll remind you of. Prior to this last judgment that reinstated Emeka Beke, there was a judgment that removed Emeka Beke.
Yes, of course.
And Emeka Beke appealed that judgment.
That judgment.
And it has not been heard as well.
Sorry. So that we'll get our terminologies right.
You're right.
It was an interim order.
Okay.
Given by my Lord Honorable Justice, I think my memory serves me right, Basam. Preventing Emeka Beke and the state legal from parading themselves as executive. Now, Emeka Beke appealed that interim order. But that suit at the court of first instance was later withdrawn. and the suit that has been struck out. All others, interim made in the lifespan of that suit dies with it. So that suit died a natural death.
After it was withdrawn.
So there was no need of Emeka Bekee pursuing the appeal again at the Court of Appeal. And so that appeal also was withdrawn.
So why then was Tony Okocha, when he was addressing press at a point in time, because I remember clearly,
it's a selective.
After the judgment came, you know, in favor of Emeka Bekee, when Tony Okocha was speaking or reacting to that judgment, he made reference to an earlier judgment that
was given preventing these two set of persons from parading as executive. What's his name? The state legal advisor and Emeka Bekee. They appealed these judgments, this interim order, while the substantive suit was still pending at the Rivers State High Court. Now that substantive suit
was withdrawn.
The person who initiated that suit withdrew that substantive suit, and the court struck out the process. So interim orders made in that suit naturally died upon the suit being upon that suit being struck out. And so there was no need to pursue something that was no longer in existence.
Thank you for that clarification. That makes a lot of sense. Now go ahead.
So where I want to go with my line of thought is this. The Nigerian state politically exposed actors are not doing themselves any good, because like in Rivers State, we know the state of APC. APC is deeply factionalized, and all of them are parading themselves as the legally recognized APC executives in the state. And that did not abate it, because the federal, that's the national APC, is now siding the Tony Okocha-led APC executive, which the court has already, barred from going ahead to conduct congresses and going ahead to parade himself, which I knew there was a time he respected that. He was not acting as an interested party who is he said he's a statesman, or there's a name he was giving himself when he was obeying that particular court order that nullified him as the caretaker committee chairman of APC. So this time around, APC national is not helping issues. And look at it. If, like the barrister was saying, APC in the state cannot win any state freely and fairly conducted election. Now APC is fighting to align with the PDP being led by the deputy minister. Why I said so is that APC on its own know that they are not capable of achieving anything in Rivers State as it stands now. Then PDP, they are working with PDPs in the state, while like the barrister said, if peradventure APC is not allowed to present any candidate, well, they didn't lose anything, because APC national and the Rivers State PDP are working hand in glove. The benefit of PDP in the state is the benefit of APC, both state and national, because What is happening in this in this kind of face-off is this. Emeka Beke has pledged allegiance to the FCT minister. Tony Okocha has pledged allegiance to FCT minister, while Emeka Beke is fighting for the soul and the survival of APC in the state.
To the governor.
That's what I'm saying. To now, he's now playing the politics in River State with the governor of River State. That means APC in River State is already dead. So whatever Tony Okocha is fighting for, whatever the support he's getting, he has his hopes hanged around the national, and unfortunately, whatever legal action that is instituted in the federal, Tony Okocha is heavily relying that he's going to get judgment from there. So when you talk about party supremacy and who is going to play the party card, is the national that has the interest of the party and has favored Tony Okocha. In this regard, I'm saying it emphatically that Emeka Beke has no place, even with his movement, with all the cases that have been suited by his own faction. At the end of the day, even if Emeka Beke gets those judgments that Barrister Gift on Jamala is saying, at the end of the day, the people that have the final say is the APC national. So where does Emeka Beke stand? He might be going with the... Yes.
Can I come into...
let him
Emeka Beke might be going with his high hopes in the judiciary. But at the end of the day, who is going to play the party politics? The national has recognized Tony Okocha, and there is nothing Emeka Beke can do about it. Emeka Beke may continue to float until the expiration of his tenure. And once the national has already anointed Tony Okocha, I don't think there is much Emeka Beke will do in this regard, even when the court and the judgments may turn out in his favor. That's my submission.
If the courts, if the judgments turn out in his favor, now, to a large extent, let me ask you a very fundamental question. What is the primary function of a political party?
The primary function of a political party is to field candidates for elective positions, to win elections.
Basically to win elections. Yes. Now, very well. Okay, let's say Tony Okocha now has the blessings of the national. And Emeka Beke is relying heavily on the judiciary. I'm going
by what I said.
Your analysis.
Yes.
Emeka Beke is relying heavily on the judiciary. Now, the national plays their politics and all of that. And let's say 2027, this bickering continues, and
Emeka Beke serves out his tenure.
Do you see, let's just even say, for example, there has to be an election within this period.
Yes.
Do you see APC fielding candidates successfully, even though the APC River State, led by Tony Okocha, may have the backing of the national? Didn't that play out in 2029? The national APC River State 2019. APC had River State had the backing of the national, didn't they? But at the end of the day, the court had their way.
Okay, let me answer your
question. So at the end of the day, in 2019, was APC able to fulfill their primary responsibility, which is to win elections?
They were not. And look at I want to make your question in exposing this reminded me something. Look at where politics comes in. The then president Muhammadu Buhari, you know him very well. He was not interested in other, but with Tinubu and Ganduje in APC, and they have their interests cut out.
So they will circumvent the judicial procedure.
That is, even if the judicial procedure. No. What I'm saying is that with their interests heavily surrounded around the Tony Okocha as a person, and whatever Tony Okocha dictates is where they are aligning. They have been stifling of Emeka Beke of funds, and they are not recognizing whatever he's doing. And remember that when primaries are to be conducted, the national sends delegates.
Materials and
so delegates. And also if you want to buy a form, it is also the national that makes the forms available.
Right.
So at the end of the day, assuming Tony Okocha's group purchases a form and through the law courts, Emeka Beke goes and at the end of the APC have no candidate. APC didn't lose, I made that assertion. But as it stands, why APC did not field candidates was because of the indifference of the person of the then president, Bola Muhammadu Buhari, who was not interested in whatever politics. Yes, he was indifferent because if he was interested in making sure that APC gets fields a candidate, believe you me, the federal would have done their politics and they would have
circumvented the judiciary
with the party supremacy that they
would
have
bent the judiciary.
Of course, this is this could be achievable because anything happens in Nigeria, especially when party politics is involved.
Now this is a step. I think you have to defend the integrity of the judiciary at this point.
I am not here to defend the integrity of the judiciary.
Okay.
I'm only here to speak.
Is not potent enough.
We are in a sane climb.
Yes, that is where I was coming from.
I want to
speak.
We
are actually not in the same climb.
We are not to the
which gives a little credence. Which gives a lot of credence to what he has
not
said.
The obvious. The way he has stated this is making it look like we living in a banana republic. That the president and the political power, political or party in power, can influence the judiciary. He's saying it on the live national TV. So that is a point I'm
making. And which is, you know, the obvious.
He talks about APC not losing if all these procedures, all these processes
cumulating to them not fielding a candidate.
Yes, cumulating to them not fielding a candidate that APC will not lose. The politics of 2019 headed by General Muhammadu Buhari is different from that being orchestrated and superintended by Tinubu.
That is it.
Tinubu will not live to see his own political party. Let's leave about the influence of physically present in the PDP but spiritual minded in the APC. Before 2027 election, if Wike refuses to take a stand, either he belongs to the PDP or he belongs to the APC. The APC will make him take that stand. Because the Ganduje, as a national chairman of the party, and Tinubu would not want to see that they will fail in Rivers State or they will leave to field candidate in Rivers State because they will have candidates in APC and in PDP. That is not the kind of politics Tinubu will want to
but that is what they are playing in Rivers State. That's what they are playing in Rivers State.
That is all about negotiation.
The politics of negotiation to the extent that you remain here and destroy while our own party survives. That is the politics.
I really do not want to go deep into analyzing politics.
That is
what I've said.
As I told you that there could be an agreement.
Of course.
PDP takes the state, or PDP delivers the state to the president.
What happened in 2023?
I am coming, but not to the extent that APC will say we should not have candidates.
Well, what is interesting?
There are pseudo candidates. Just like the local government elections were conducted, we have pseudo candidates. Same with political primaries. We have pseudo candidates who I'll give you money, go and buy form, on the date of the election, announce you're stepping down in my favor. And so if you look at that, it may happen, but let's not even think to that extent. Let's think to the extent that we as politicians, we imbibe the culture of respecting the rule of law, believing that the process should thrive and not the will of the mind. Because if we continue in that trajectory, the story of the Higudi-Pigudi, where everyone survives at his own minds, that's where we are turning Nigeria to. So we do not want to get to that stage. And so let's preach.
With everything that is going on, Jamala, genuinely.
Yes.
With everything that has been going on politically, at the federal level, state level, local government level, you know, disobedience to court judgments, turning the law on its head, with everything that has been going on, with the level of influence that politicians are wielding right now, they aren't and brazen disobedience to court orders and judgments. How do you see that playing out?
I blame the judiciary. To the extent that the judiciary has not been able to sanitize itself.
Okay.
Once the judiciary takes that step, the society will stand still and we'll find ourselves orderly coordinated. Now, I have mentioned that some of the processes, some of the actions of government and politicians, in quotes, that have led us to where we are is because if you look at the selection process of judges, the other day when this nullification came, Tony Okocha laid the fact that the person who nullified his congresses was in relation to the governor. So he has removed the aspect of the law. He has not asked himself, assuming, okay, let me remove the messenger. Let me look at the message. Was he right in that decision? Now, if you look at how our judges are appointed, if you do not have a strong politician who can recommend you, you will not be appointed, no matter how brilliant you are. In fact, one of the judges that Fobara inaugurated came first when he was sent for screening at the National Judicial Council in Abuja. He came first. But out of personal reasons, the then governor refused to swear him in. So the brilliant ones are left, while political interest, and if you influence my process of getting to the top, and you're asking me for a very minute favor, don't you think in all good conscience and morality, I owe you that obligation? So let the judiciary stand firm, learn how to look inward, purge themselves of the slight few ones. There are very few. But those few ones, a judgment given by one negative-minded judge
has a ripple effect.
Has a ripple effect over above 1,000 decisions given by 1,000 noble men or in the bench. So once we purge ourselves,
right,
when the judiciary purges itself of these elements who have made themselves vulnerable to political maneuvering and influence, then Nigeria will stand aright.
Pending when that happens.
Yes, pending that when that happens.
We'll
continue.
We'll still come back to what Ifeanyi Chukwu has been saying.
I will not subscribe to that.
Loresha, there is something I want to say. Because
I will not.
I had Barrister Gift yesterday on a radio station. So the anchor asked me a question. I want to bring it from all the. Yes, right, I had him yesterday. When they were talking about the law or something. So either yesterday or on Friday, I can't remember. But see, he's talking about the judiciary purging itself. Judiciary is not the law enforcement agent. If they give out, if peradventure a judge says somebody has committed a contempt of court or give a warrant or for somebody to be produced to the court by all means possible. And all these kind of political actors that we have, because believe it or yes, our political atmosphere have been polluted by people that are sentimental and biased. And the interest and greed that we see is what has kept us where we are. Nigeria have a beautiful law. The constitution is not our problem, but the implementation of that constitution to the core is the problem of Nigeria. Somebody was sentenced to death by stealing a fowl, while somebody who stole billions was given 500 million bail to even go and recoup and come back. This is the same system. Look at this. If the judge, Barrister Jamala, is sitting here and saying that they should purge themselves, gives a judgment from his temple of justice, and those who are to enforce it are hand-tied, because it is the executive that will give the order. The executive controls the military, the police, and all the law enforcement apparatus. At the end of the day, what will the judge do? The judge is handicapped. So those judges that are looking at the scenario and the Nigerian political space, and they're giving out the kind of judgments they're giving out, even when the NJC punishes them or gives them a reprimandable measure, the end of the day, they come back and they continue in their impunity. Why is impunity festering? It's because the judge can give order, do this. At the end of the day, the executive that should lead the enforcement is not willing to do that. What will the judges do? How will the judge who has turned out a judgment be the enforcer again? So I don't blame it totally to the doorsteps of the judges.
This is my own submission. Right. Because they don't have that means of enforcing their own judgment, which they have turned out on the person that it should be meted out to.
Yes,
that is
my submission. Your concern has always been the concern of several bar and benchmen. But we live in we practice a system of government that talks about separation of powers.
Yes.
Do your own, let me do my own. Allow the judges to be right in their fair, in their own judgment. Then we can now complain about the executive not enforcing. In some jurisdictions, we have the sheriffs of courts. Those are the enforcers of judgment. That is being canvassed in Nigeria, but let our judgment be right first before we talk of enforcement.
Right, very well. Talking about judgment being right or wrong, People's Democratic Party in Edo State has applauded the ruling of a high court sitting in Benin City, which granted the application to reinstate the chairman and vice chairman of the 18 local government areas, who the party said were illegally and unconstitutionally suspended by the Edo State House of Assembly at the behest of the governor, Monday Ogbeblo. In a statement signed by Dr. Tony Azebami, the chairman of the party, he said the court in the ruling also directed the defendants, including the Edo State government, the governor, and the attorney general, among others, not to give effect to the House of Assembly resolution purportedly suspending the 18 council chairmen. Azebami said the landmark decision was a victory for the Edo people, democracy, and the rule of law. He said, "We consider this ruling timely and particularly significant as it will help restore hope in the people that the judiciary still remains the last hope of the common man, especially as the tribunal proceedings on the 2024 governorship election continue, where the PDP is resolute on reclaiming the mandate overwhelmingly given to it by the people of Edo State." The PDP chairman urged the local government chairmen to return to their offices and continue their work of advancing grassroots development and the delivery of impactful governance for the benefit of their communities. He urged all stakeholders to respect the court's decision in the interest of peace and in compliance with the rule of law. He also called on the police and all security agencies to come out in their full regimen to protect the local government councils and the chairmen, ensuring they can effectively carry out their constitutional duties and responsibilities. If I why were you smiling when I was reading this story?
You know, this is Nigeria, and as the barrister is seated here, when the judgment tends to favor one, it's Uhuru, and the judiciary is the last hope of common man. When it turns out the other way around, the person begins to vilify the same judges, not knowing that judgment should not be preempted. The suspension of the 18 local government chairmen in Edo State was an affront on our constitution. If the governor wanted to do that, he has a way of doing it. He would have gone through the councillors. You know, this overtime of the governors having enveloped the chairman, and being those people who handpick them, they are subservient, and most of their errand political boys. So there is a sense to which the governors control them, but Governor Ogbeblo has forgotten that he's not the person that got these people through their electioneering time, and their obedience to him is what he wants to, you know, make them understand that a new sheriff is in town, but he has gone about it the wrong way. And again, because of the landmark judgment of the Supreme Court on the local government financial autonomy, the presidency frowns at this particular move, and has condemned it through the Attorney General of the Federation, in as much as some APC stakeholders in Edo State has also pointed out that the state House of Assemblies also have the inherent right, according to the Constitution, to make laws governing the local governments. So, but be that as it may, this particular suspension was hasty. Some other people do remove and ask them to be going to court. If he has done that, there should have been a sense that he has also come into the fray as using the draconian law of the governors in removing some of those local government chairmen they did not produce. But because of that judgment of the Supreme Court,
he was a little skeptical on not knowing what to do. If I remove them totally, there will be a backlash. Let me suspend them for 2 months. Who gave you that kind of constitutional power to remove an elected officer? You see, if you want to do that, you have gone through the normal process of buying over the councillors who constitute their own local legislation to be able to institute an impeachment or a suspension procedure against their chairman. But he has gotten the backlash that he needed. Now, PDP quickly went to court because all those chairmen are PDP members. That's what we see in Nigeria. Any sitting governor that conducts election wins it outrightly. So the PDP have taken it as a witch hunt. And they are not taking it with kids glove now. They have gone to court and there have been a court judgment. In the first instance, there would have not been a room for the court to tell the governor what is right to do. But because the governors think they are emperors and they have this immunity that covers them, they don't know that the immunity is only for them not to be taken to court, not that cases will not be instituted against them. But at the end of the day, they are now using it to, to usurp a lot of powers around the state. But we are happy that the court has done the needful, and the federal government has also reacted. So let Obebelo begin to look for another way around, or wait for their 3-year tenure to expire in order to put in his own APC, those that will be subservient to him. I think that's my submission.
All right, very well. You said a lot around judiciary and political motive of the governor. Now, yeah, he talked about his political motive as well.
To even take him back to our previous discussion, where we said the national interest of the political party should have taken supreme over judicial powers.
At this point, I want to hear what you have to say, but I also must ask you a question. Can a democratically elected local government chairman in this instance, can they be suspended?
The Supreme Court has held in a plethora of authorities.
Go ahead, Jamala.
That the governor has no power whatsoever to even suspend an elected local government chairman.
In this instance, Obeblo said he did not. It was the House of Assembly.
I agree. See, Section 7 of the 1999 Constitution places the State House of Assembly powers to make laws for the governance, administration of local governments. That's where our problem lies. It's not even the Supreme Court decision
so they are putting
of financial autonomy.
Yes, they are now putting the House of Assembly, local government, those states, House of
Assembly,
local government law.
Yes.
But if it is an aberration,
fine, that is where the court came in. Right. We have that law in Rivers State. In 2018, the then governor, Nyesom Wike, through the instrumentality of the Rivers State House of Assembly, enacted the Rivers State Local Government Law number 5 of 2018. Now, there is a section in that law that gave the governor the power to suspend an elected local government chairman. He can suspend and thereafter ask for the ratification from the House of Assembly.
I think it's time we start asking Algon what they are doing exactly.
Who has challenged that law?
What is Algon
that
doing?
Provision. Who is Algon?
That is very draconian.
Algon to me and you. Algon are persons called subservient. Persons governors picked.
Yes, that's what we see.
To empower. And so they will not even have the guts
to fight in the interest of the local
Now we have financial autonomy in quote. So that is where state governors are beginning to, if I do not have, look at before the last local government, the Rivers State local government chairman left, some of them became emperors. Right? To the extent that they were not even receiving the finance directly from FARC. But they became emperors to our governor. Then, if these local government chairmen were receiving their finances, allocation directly from the federal government, don't you think we will be having different states in Rivers State in the name of local government? But Section 7 has placed their powers on the control of the state. So you may have the financial autonomy. It is the State House of Assembly that will direct how we spend our resources through a law that will be signed by the governor. So you can have your billions, the state will come out to say you will not spend more than 500 million a month. And it stands, because that is the power of the State House of Assembly to do so. Now, until that law is set aside, which the court, the restorer of hope, the court is the restorer of hope, has come to do in the circumstance. So that's why I said, if our court will sit right, ordinarily, if it will be a judge whose mind is biased, tilted to favoring
the governor,
the institution in power, using, let me borrow his word, federal minds, the governor would have said, but that is the provision of the local government law of the state. Then maybe we'll test it at the Court of Appeal. So the inconsistency in that law and that of the Constitution is what made the judge to nullify that suspension. So it is not...
So if a House of Assembly makes a law that is not in line, in tandem with Nigerian Constitution,
until it's challenged and pronounced...
Until it's challenged,
yes, it is the court.
Effect.
Yes, it is the court that has the powers to pronounce that law null and void, not you and I. So if a House of Assembly has made a law and I do not like it, I am bound to obey it until I challenge it at the court of law.
And have it
set aside.
Like, all right, very well.
So for a River State, it's still existing. So tomorrow the governor can wake up and suspend one.
Because he has the power to do
The state instrument gave him that power to do so. And that instrument is, whether it is inconsistent with the Constitution for now, nobody, the court have not said so. So until challenged, until challenged and the court said so, then that power is removed from the governor. And that provision that gave the power, the Constitution, that right to suspend is expunged from that law. You remember in 2024, yes, Amewule and Co. enacted local government law, number 3. Number 3 of 2024. In that their law, they made some provisions of the law to usurp the powers of the governor and arrogate it to themselves. It was challenged. My Lord, Honorable Justice Q.
Can you state what the provisions of that law was?
One of the provisions I can remember is that of the extension, elongation of local government chairmen. That the House, by a resolution of not less than 2/3 majority, can extend the power, the local government tenure. It is not in the Constitution, please.
Go ahead.
Can extend the power, the local government tenure of a local government chairman. They relied their own understanding in the provision of the Constitution where Nigeria is at war. The National Assembly is at war, and it is impracticable to conduct election. That the National Assembly may consider or extend the tenure of the president for a period not exceeding 6 months. Was Rivers State at war in the circumstance? And that was not all. They said where the governor refused to swear these persons in after they have so done by a resolution, they can also appoint a judicial officer to take on that executive functions. And my Lord Honorable Justice Q was not didn't mince word, didn't waste time to say that provision was against the executive functions as enshrined in Section 5 of the 99th Constitution that places it on the governor of a state. Your own is to make laws. Leave executive functions for the governor. And so the governor cannot, by an executive order, also remove the powers of a state House of Assembly to create law, to enact law for himself. No, he cannot do so. So we thank God the State High Court has...
But you are aware that in the federal, the judgment of the Supreme Court,
yes,
under this financial autonomy, page 16, I think, yes, page 16 of that, of the CTC of that judgment, the Supreme Court stated that the local governments, the state houses of assembly, actually have the right to extend the tenure of local government chairmen. The Supreme Court said that.
I cannot sit here and confirm that
I'm trying to get that.
I know you are paraphrasing, yes, until you get... Shoma, if you show it to me, that because the issues that were before the Supreme Court with respect to financial autonomy has nothing to do with elongation of powers.
That was discussed. That was the Supreme Court.
We discussed it on
the
this,
Supreme Court
this
talked
platform.
about it. I think I did a series on
Yes,
that particular,
on that particular
judgment.
issue.
That's
Yes.
because everybody was on.
Shoma, if you show it to me, I will go through
but
it.
hold on. Everybody was fixated on the local government financial autonomy. That nobody was looking at that section of the judgment. And when I stumbled on it, I was like, wait, nobody's looking at this section of the judgment. And I discussed it. I did a series on that judgment for 2 weeks consecutively every day. So I'm trying to get it for you. I'm going to get it for you. But I am aware, 100 times aware, that the Supreme Court, when they were giving that judgment in July, also talked about extension of the tenure of the local government chairman. I am aware of that.
Shoma, why you have 1 million rights?
It's here. Let me quote it. All right. It says, I am quoting it.
Yes, read it.
Under section 135, subsection 3 of the Constitution, the tenure of 4 years for the president provided for by section 135, subsection 2 thereof,
yes,
shall be extended for periods not exceeding a period of 6 months,
yes,
at any time,
yes,
by a resolution of the National Assembly, if it is not practicable to hold elections.
yes.
By same token, by a law of a state house of assembly, the tenure of local government councils can be legally extended for any reason, such as insecurity or war, if it becomes impracticable or impossible for elections into the local government councils to be conducted. The mandate given to an elected local government council is the mandate of the electorate of that local government area. And if the tenure is extended, it is the people's mandate that is extended. If the tenure of a local government council is truncated, as it is the norm now, it is an illegal termination of the electorate's mandate, and it is not to be encouraged, but roundly condemned. This is the Supreme Court judgment.
Yes.
And this is on page 16.
Read the last paragraph of what you just read.
It said, if the tenure of a local government council is truncated, as it is the norm now, it is an
In which case is that?
It is, I am quoting the Supreme Court. Yes. I am quoting the Supreme Court judgment. So, he said, hold on. As it is the norm now, it is an illegal termination, yes, of the electorate's, yeah, mandate, yeah, and it is not to be encouraged, but roundly condemned.
Fine. Chairman, until I read the complete set of that judgment, I will be able to understand whether it was an obiter or it was a ratio of a court.
It was a judgment.
I agree. In a judgment, we have what we call ratio. We have obiter dictums. So until I read it, because the one for River State was challenged at the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal also agreed with the River State High Court.
That was done.
It
was done before the Supreme Court judgment, wasn't it?
I cannot remember.
It was done before the Supreme Court
judgment. I cannot remember. Now, there are authorities are made for its own selves. You must apply them, whatever. I want to know the facts of this case. To the extent that, because I'm fully aware, I have the processes of the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation that brought about the decision of the Supreme Court with respect to financial autonomy.
Go and read that.
I have it.
Look for page 16 of it.
I have it, don't worry.
Go to page 16.
I will look for it. I will read it.
All right.
I'm also aware that the issue of illegal termination of tenures of local government has been settled by the Supreme Court. That the state House of Assembly or a state governor lacks the powers to do so.
Because they're elected.
Because they're elected.
They're elected.
But the issue of elongation, to the fact that, one, there is war, two, insecurity.
Where there is impracticable.
What makes it, what qualifies that impracticability is what they have looked at war and insecurity. Aside these two.
No, they said for any reason.
Then for any reason such as.
Hold on. For any reason.
Such as.
Such as.
Yes.
Now, it means that, for example, not limited to. It does not limit. For any reason, it gets the
I agree, but what qualifies a cogent, verifiable reason must fall within a line of this.
When it becomes impracticable.
That's what I'm saying. What
impossible.
qualifies that impracticability? First, they have given you an example, insecurity.
An example doesn't mean that it's limited
I'm
to
coming
them.
now.
Is
I'm
it?
coming. They have given you, for whatever reason you are giving, must fall in line with these two. It must fall in line. Assuming the state does not have the resources, and who conveys that information to the assembly to do so? Assuming the state does not have the resources to conduct the local government, it is a reason. Is it not?
a reason.
Then they can now elongate.
Who communicates that information?
Now, which means that we have
They
it
cannot
still boils
elongate.
down to what we are saying.
Yes.
For any reason, number one, there is an underlining statement. I think there is a functional statement, which is for any
not
reason.
belabor
It is now the
belabor.
prerogative of the court.
Let's not belabor ourselves with this issue.
No, hold on.
You will have me back.
You will not be the one to tell me not to be labor.
No.
I want to be labor myself.
Oh, yeah, labor now.
I want to.
I don't belong to the Labour Party.
I do not belong to any party. But right now, I want to belabor myself heavily on this, because the truth remains that, I mean, isn't this part of the issues going on, I mean, across the states? Edo State, for example.
Yes.
Do you understand? That was why, you know what led to this conversation is, yes, the state houses of assembly are saddled with the responsibilities to make laws for the local government.
Yes.
Now,
but those laws must not be inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution.
Hold on. And yes, we also discussed that.
But you said where it is, if it had not been challenged,
yes,
it remains. That's what you said too.
Yes, that inconsistency must be pronounced so by the
but what if there is
effect.
inconsistency, and like in River State, and they have not been challenged, it's allowed to flow.
Opportunities
That's
are
what
not.
he's saying.
That's what he said.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
So now,
but that is a law.
Given by that, what actually brought up this particular conversation was you were saying you now cited River State House of Assembly law,
yes,
that you said arrogated some
local
powers
government law number 3.
Yes, that arrogated the powers, some of the powers of the executive to itself, and it was struck out by court.
Yes.
And that was what brought out this particular one, to remind you that there is a Supreme Court judgment. So probably the River State House of Assembly for now have chosen not to actually appeal that. Probably if it is appealed,
they have. The matter is before the Supreme
probably
Court.
This issue will now definitely, I am sure this issue will fall back to
then the issue, the reason that they are giving, whether it will justify the enforcement of that powers. Right? The reasons that they will allude at the Supreme Court is what the Supreme Court will look, whether it falls within the contemplation of that particular law. And remember, Section 135 is only as to national laws, not as to state local government laws.
You see, before we flip this Edo issue, I'm just baffled about it, because a PDP governor just exited the office, and the governor, Obebolo, is using the PDP majority House of Assembly members to now oust their brothers, which are the local government. You could see the nature of politics we play in Nigeria. But Sir Jamala, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. The governor...
You should refer to what Ababio had said when Ababio was speaking.
Okay,
Ababio said that every matter, when he was governor, he also made sure the speaker was always close by him.
Okay, I discussed it last Sunday.
Just like the president,
so that he will look at his face and know if he's happy with him, and know that he's safe. You know, Ababio said, I think I discussed it last week here. But where the governor can now, within 3 weeks or a month of his tenure lifetime, to, you know, be able to synergize with the State of Assembly being majorly constituted by PDP. It beats my imagination to now puncture the PDP structure. You know, this local government is the structure. You know, to puncture the PDP structure heavily, because once these guys are being suspended, there is a sense of that fear being instilled in them to either be prey or to be so fragile that the APC could start poaching them. You see what is happening in the National House of Assembly, that look at my friend Dauda Matthew, who won the one they called the Okada Man in the green chambers, has cross-carpeted to APC from Labour Party. But he won election on the benevolence of the people. That the people, he won somebody who has gone to the house 4 times. I did masters with him in Abuja. He's from Kaduna State. The guy they call Okadama is not Okadama. He's a philosophy BA degree holder. But the only thing is that he was using that thing to augment according to the Nigerian system. But look at him now, who won freely according to the mandate given to him by the people. He has cross-carpeted in order to secure his political seat, jettisoning the people. What does that tell you about the elections that we conduct in Nigeria? That means the people have not much say.
All right. Very well. Talking about the people, Amnesty International has raised an alarm over fatal stampedes at Christmas palliative venue that claimed over 60 lives, lamenting that millions of Nigerians are on the brink of starvation and deep poverty under President Bola Tinubu's watch. This week, 65 people died across Nigeria at rice-sharing stampedes. Ibadan, 35 children died. Okija, 20 people died. Abuja, 10 people died. Amnesty International said in a statement on Saturday. They continue to say, millions of people are on the brink of starvation, widespread malnutrition and deep poverty. The human rights organization called on Mr. Tinubu's government to address rising widespread hunger, poverty and unemployment in the country while calling for thorough investigations into various stampedes recorded in the past 1 week. President Bola Tinubu's government must urgently prioritize addressing widespread hunger, higher unemployment, and the rapidly falling standard of living, Amnesty International said. Bayo Onanuga, the presidential spokesperson, said in a statement on Saturday that the president has cancelled the scheduled event in honor of victims of the stampede. This comes amid waves of different fatal stampedes recorded at palliative distribution venues in Ibadan, Anambra and Abuja in the past 1 week. Last week, about 35 children were killed in Ibadan, while at least 38 people were confirmed dead Saturday after rice-sharing activities led to stampedes in Anambra and Abuja. Very sad story there. Jamala, what is your reaction to this?
First, let me commiserate with the families of those who from Ibadan, Anambra, and Okija. It's so unfortunate that the benevolence of these persons, like the Obijasi Foundation, the Catholic Church in Maitama, and the other organization in Ibadan that decided to...
The former wife.
Yeah.
Yes, the former his wife, yes. Their kind benevolence turned out to
tragedy.
Tragedy, yes. I think that's where my concern lies. Is a true reflection, the statement of Amnesty is a true reflection of what exists currently in our society, in Nigeria. These are cities. The places these events happen, if you look at the one in Abuja, Maitama, one of the eyebrow areas in Abuja, but yet we have poverty knocking at the door of everyone. We have not even gone to the village. I'm even trying to see what political parties in the name of distributing Christmas legacies or palliatives, what will happen in our various communities. Remember, last year in Rivers State, somewhere in one of the Kwere villages, something of this sort happened where some women also died, some sustained injuries. And for Bayo Nanuga to say they respect the governor, the president has for this person
is to cancel events.
Cancel. We are trivializing issues here. First,
death of women and children.
Death of women, children, citizens of Nigeria, 65 recorded. So there might be those who are in the hospital
it could be under-recorded, by the way.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I said. For the records, we have 65. Some were badly injured in the hospital. We have not been told whether some of them have also passed through that line and some have recovered. Now, if the cancellation of the trip to wherever by the president is a plus to Bayo Nanuga, I see them, they do not live in the same class as we are. So for Bayo Nanuga, he lives in the presidency where everything is provided for. He drives, he moves with the president in convoys where there are there are no traffic jam anywhere for him to see.
The road is clear.
The road is clear ahead of time. You know, the cycle man will go clear the road before the executive will come. So that is a life they live. And you coming out to tell them there is poverty in the land, it does appear you are speaking from a biased mind, a politically paid analyst to tell them that there is poverty in the land. And that is what our politicians, I don't know if you are married that of Obi. So we are removing the message, placing the messenger. And so because this person, I do not like you, whatever that comes from you, whether it is true or false, I don't want to listen at all. There is poverty in the land, and it is high time government takes steps to see how this poverty can be reduced. The years of governance has begun to, we are entering 2025. We are moving into the years of politics. The first 2 years of every political office holder is for governance. The next 2 years is to sustain that power. So they are political years. And so if there is the president has not done anything in these first 2 years, I doubt whether the next 2 remaining years, being political years, something can be done positively. Unless maybe the foundation that he has so far in quote laid will begin to give us some fruits, positive fruits that we can harvest on. But let the Nigerian society, the president, the state governors, and even the local government look into how can we bring down the sufferings of Nigerians. Because it's written clearly on virtually all the faces of Nigeria. Somebody I called yesterday, the person said, you are complaining. I called you to complain, and you are complaining. So what do you want me to say again? I say, wow. So that is the impression that you people have. The poor is complaining. The rich in Nigeria is also complaining. So it's a system of governance.
Interesting. Ugochukwu, what do you make of this?
It's very sad. I join other women Nigerians, like Barrister Gifting and Jamale, to commiserate with the families, the mothers. Most of those children that have passed on now, their Christmas clothes have been ready. The family have made arrangements to factor them into the eating and the funfair that will go around with this festive season. It's really sad that most families in Nigeria has been thrown into mourning. And this mourning period is really unnecessary. We have been crying on this platform that ATN, Atlantic Television Network, gave us. I've been crying on the sister radio station of ATN. I've been crying on Today FM and most other platforms that we feature and say that Nigerians don't need handouts. We don't need palliative. This is what the government of Muhammadu Buhari, transmitted to Ahmed Bola Tinubu. If you see the quantum of money that was expended in the Ministry of Humanitarian, the so-called humanitarian affairs, you begin to shed tears for this country, and we are still wallowing in abject poverty. Remember, these handouts started even when no less a person, Lorecia have stated it here, this is the often time, that no less a person in the person of Professor Oshibajo, I'll continue to mention his name, and there's a very wrong reason that when his chopper came down, it was because of the cash stashed in that particular chopper that he went for sharing of trader money. A whole number 2 citizen of a country. What a shame. What a shame. Went to share money with people, to traders, and he was giving handout and they were taking pictures. This is the kind of politics we see in Nigeria and what has kept us and resulted to what we are seeing today. I am even so baffled that Bayo Onaniga did not throw jabs. I begin to condemn Amnesty International as the people who are now, they are always at the corner of always chastising Nigeria and throwing things out of proportion. That was when I saw his name, I was expecting to, just that when we did the communication in English, when somebody is eulogizing you and you see but, the next one is in the negative. When you start with the negative and you see but, the other one is in the positive. So I was thinking that he was going to condemn
and drag Amnesty International for painting Nigeria in the bad light before the international community. What is the concern of the parents that have lost their children, the communities that have been thrown into mourning, that the president is cancelling his official engagement or funfair engagement, because I'm meant to understand he's no longer in Aso Rock, he's in Lagos. So whatever he's doing there now is catching cruise. So the Nigerian flag is not flowing at half-mast. You have not set up a committee to go and investigate and liaise with the state government, with those agencies that organize those things, in order to find out the immediate and remote causes of what happened. Is it crowd management or what? And what is even the food? Like in River State, the commissioner of health, Dr. Oria, he said that before you organize any medical outreach, that you must liaise with her office to know what you're going to give out and the reason why you must gather people and the quantum of what you're going to do, and they will not satisfy the healthiness of what you're going to transmit to people, which is apt. The federal government have not told us that, okay, the commission or the Ministry of Emergency or NEMA or whatever has gone to Edo State, Anambra State and FCT to now liaise with those people that organize the so-called Christmas giveaway gift. They did that with a good intention. And the crowd management, as I read in Oyo State, was not well handled. And again,
it was planned for 5,000
and then
over 7,000
showed up, and even at that, you remember what caused the one that happened in River State last year was also this crowd mismanagement.
That of
but yes,
the King's Assembly.
The King's Assembly.
Yes.
The same. So now you have 5,000 and 7,005 is appearing, but look at, they say children, parents and adults appeared, and we are even also struggling to gain entry. In order to get a patre 5,000, what can a 5,000 do? What can those gifts do? So this is where Barrister Jamala came out and said that what is all these things that the president has been putting in place, the policies will yield fruit, the policies will do this, where have he gotten us? There was a report I was listening to last week that a child of 9 years, 8 to 9 years, picked a phone and called 911 when there was a shootout. I don't know if you have had it in one school or is it a shopping mall. Somebody entered, a 15-year-old child entered and was shooting people sporadically. It was a 9-year-old that took a phone and called 911. Look at the children, the prospects. I don't know whether the Nigerian state is turning to the Catholic Church, with all due respect. In Catholic Church, the church is hierarchical. They start from top to bottom. But in a given society, we are meant to understand that the children are being cared for even from when the conception takes place. That is why Trump is fighting against abortion. When conception takes place, that is where what they call antenatal and whatnot, where the woman will be guided until that child gives birth. On 25th of December, now, most state governors and their wives will go to clinics and hospitals and begin to gift the first child of the year. But these are the ones that we have, and the society could not protect them. The society could not even feed them, provide for their parents to feed them. Because if majority of the Nigerian parents have what it takes to take care of the children, they won't be struggling for a patre 5,000.
When you talk about society, now it has a lot to do with the policies of government.
That is
in this instance.
Yes.
And the society is as the receiving end of whatever policies that the government comes up with. Now let's look at. You cannot discuss inflation in this particular administration without discussing the cost of diesel and PMS and how it has trickled down to literally everything.
Yes.
Now, even with the NNPC coming out to say they have reduced the price of fuel pump, logistics is still increasing. There is still inflation. Currently, to travel from one end to another, even within the state, is so ridiculously expensive. In
Not,
fact,
not within the state, within the city of Port Harcourt.
Within the
it's so
intra-city
it's so
movement.
ridiculously expensive that transportation now, a lot of people, the so-called minimum wage does not cover
It doesn't
transportation
go anywhere.
in a month in River State, for instance. And then you're not even looking at feeding. Let survive transportation to even go to work to get the salary.
Salary.
Yes. You now realize that it appears that everything Nigerians are doing, Nigerians are working for NNPC and the oil and gas sector. At
Yes,
this point.
there is a sense to that.
Those are the hem of affairs.
You
Yes.
have when you have a car you're driving. The moment your car, I mean, you buy fuel of 20,000 naira and
It leads you to nowhere.
and then you now look at power supply right now is
No,
epileptic
very,
with
very.
the consistent
National
national
grid
grid
collapse.
collapse, which right now is not even making a lot of sense to me, and some of the excuses they are coming up with to me still doesn't make a lot of sense, because I mean these things have been existing prior to this time. Now at the end of the day, Nigerians will still have to generate power
Their own
themselves. And you generate power by what? Going back to buy the same fuel in order to run your business, in order to preserve.
It's a lot.
You will not spend money
Laurentia,
to buy
it's a lot.
foodstuff. You spend more than you have spent to buy that foodstuff to preserve that foodstuff from spoiling.
Yes.
Like Nigerians can't take a breath. Like we can't.
That's why I
Nigerians can't
continue to
breathe
eulogize Nigerian parents.
At this point, Jamala. Now, you look at. Have you seen when school closes? The level of, I mean, children trekking. Even underage children, that you know that this child has no business
Trekking.
That
Yes.
child is trekking. Sometimes most of them are now unchaperoned because their parents ordinarily, who might maybe have time, some leisure time to go and pick them from school, now they don't even have that time, because they need every minute counts to get money to at least, not even, Nigerians are not talking about 3 square meals a day now. If you happen to eat one, how much is round bread? That smallest size of bread, 300 and something.
50 naira.
350 naira.
Some 400 now.
naira. So and now a loaf of bread now is about 1,005.
Which is not even healthy.
No,
Which is not-
1,005 can feed a family of 3.
I
1,009,
was coming like,
1,008.
a loaf of bread cannot go for breakfast in a family.
Yes.
Jamala, I should be asking you people that are married and have children, how are you coping actually? I think, has anybody genuinely asked you that question? And it's coming from my heart actually. How are you coping genuinely?
You want to take us to religious life?
No, because
I see, Choma, what you have reeled out so far is not far from what Amnesty International are telling us. Starvation. When you see a typical riverine man, they come out looking so shiny. But when troubles, when the needs for responsibility comes his way, you see that shining, looking, handsome man or woman.
appearance is not reality.
Appearance is not reality. Now, for those of the families, Choma, you said fuel of, before when I started driving, 3,000 naira fuel will last me for 2 days.
10,000 naira.
As a young lawyer,
9,000 naira for will fill your car.
as a young lawyer, then my 3,000 naira will take me for 2 days, which I will make 1 or 2 to add up, then comfortably buy again. Now a fuel of 20,000 will not take me around my trips in Port Harcourt. I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I'm lucky. Yes, I'm lucky now where I'm living we have lights. So for any day there is no light and my daughter cannot sleep without light. So I'm ready to spend 15,000 naira for one night.
Say it again, please.
To buy PMS that will take me at least till
6 hours.
5 o'clock. No, from 7 till 5.
Okay.
That the weather somehow would have somehow reduced. You spend 15,000 naira. How much do you earn, Loretta? If you are to spend 15,000 naira in fuel for generator, then 15,000 naira in
for
your
vehicle for maximum 2 days max. Maybe because I don't really drive around.
So in a week, there's this petrol station I stumbled into. They gave me a slip that whenever you buy, they record for you.
I'll need that link.
whenever you buy, they record for you. Do you know, at the end of a month, I looked at what I have expended buying fuel alone. I was marveled.
Yes.
I've done that. I've stopped doing that because I did that.
There's a sense it drives somebody insane.
Yes, it drives one insane.
I did that for 1 week, and I remember I came on my show and I ranted. I took the liberty of time towards the end of the show to rant because it wasn't making sense to me at that point in time. I was buying, that was even when fuel was about 1,000 plus. So I was buying fuel 20,000
yes.
to 2 days, and I have to come to work from Monday to Sunday. So like in a week, just for my car,
three times.
At least 3 times, and by Monday the next day it's on reserve. So now that's 3 times 60,000 naira, and then I really had to buy fuel 15,000 naira daily for my generator because I had taken the liberty of National Adelabu said the power, and really it did improve. So I now said, okay, let me save some money, and I went and bought half of a goat and now stored in the freezer with the parts, and unfortunately National Grid collapsed. So I now had to
resort back to the buying of fuel
generator every day.
Yes, in order to sustain it.
And I sat down, and there was a gaping hole because, for crying out loud, I work legitimately. So I don't have the liberty of getting money. I'm not a politician, So I felt the weight for 1 week. Now, how do parents? That's why I'm asking real-time questions. That these people apparently are not paying attention.
No, the government, they're not in touch.
The government, that's why I say there is a very big gap.
Now, the only way you can,
the government
and the lead.
Jamala, the only way you can even try to say, okay, let me save some, in feeding is by stock buying. Now,
when you
can't
stock
buy
buy,
something. You can't preserve them. So now we are between the devil and the deep blue sea. To go forward, you go backward, you still stand. You say, okay, let me stand.
Laurentia, on 2 occasions I came to ATN and my show was cut short. And do you remember the day I literally shedded tears on this national radio, national television, because of what the management of ATN is going through? No wonder they said there was a time CNN was floated and appealed for public funds to sustain. There was a time because most of the radio stations now cannot go 24 hours. I know only few in River State, in Port Harcourt now, because I'm an ardent listener with the sound of a radio station or television. I'll tell you, this is the name of the television. Do you know how many
televisions that have shut down?
That is what I'm saying.
Times in Nigeria.
So now you see that you remember when NBC was busy finding some television stations. I came here and said, you're finding them with the meager gain they are doing that is being plunged back into buying diesel.
Media is not profitable.
Yeah, it's nothing. I was discussing with the CEO of this ATN. I said, sir, kudos to you. It's not easy what they are paying, and they are paying that the highest employer. All these SMEs and the medium scale industry are the private sector we're talking about in Nigeria that are paying people. But the monies they are making are going back to buying diesel. I want to call on the federal government, NNPC and the Dangote, as we are entering 2025, make concerted effort in trying to stabilize this price of PMS and diesel, because
you are going too far.
Yes, the truth is that no business survives in Nigeria without a backup.
You are going too
and
far.
The backup is even more.
Our problem started election March. Was it March? February 25th also or thereabout when the election was conducted.
The national
election was conducted, and Tinubu was announced the winner, and he said subsidy is gone. That was when our problem.
Yeah, that's 29th of 29th of May.
Not 29th of May when he entered.
Okay, he has it in mind already.
It was when he was making his acceptance speech.
Okay.
He said subsidy is gone. He reiterated at the inauguration.
Oh wow!
So before May 29th, we started buying.
That was pandemonium.
Before May 29th of 2019. 19, right?
2023,
we started buying fuel in the 800, 900.
What do you say we look for him?
Yes, Buhari said so. But this
We didn't understand it
the
then.
budget for that year was to run till July ending, or June ending, or thereafter.
June ending.
And so what
There
happened?
was still time.
So it took the decision of one man, and that
To
same man,
get us to where we are.
that same man can still correct what he has done. For whatever reason, what government need to do at that time was to see how they can checkmate the corruption in the
oil and gas sector.
in the subsidy regime.
The regime program.
Program. It's that corruption. Nigeria cannot be said, citizens of Nigeria cannot be spending 61 million liters of PMS a day. It is not true. Prior the subsidy, they are talking about 13 million. All of a sudden, Nigeria has increased to 61 million liters.
Many people have parked their cars.
Liters.
Yes.
And so they were taking this product, selling it to neighboring countries, putting the bill on Nigeria.
Nigeria to pay.
When you look at it on the other hand, prior to this fuel subsidy removal, yes, there was epileptic power supply, but it's not as bad
as it is now.
It is, Jamala, it is not as bad as what is obtainable right now. This is a situation where for the past 3 days where I live, I have not seen a flash of lights, and I am running. I have to power my house for the past 3 days.
It's a pity. Maybe
Now,
I am not experiencing that.
at the end of the day,
we are maybe the fortunate Nigerians who live where they have what they call the
we
bad
used to have lights. We used to have light, but suddenly, I mean, with the last national grid collapse,
Okay.
every national grid collapse, somehow we survived it. Every national, we still don't. It still comes, but the moment
it's
restored,
yes,
we're back. We are back to business. But with this last one, I mean, we have not had light, and it is grueling.
I hope the collapsing didn't lead to the interment of that your line.
I pray. I hope not, Jamala. Don't give me high blood pressure. I pray, because now when you look at it now, you now find out that it is also possible that there is increased usage of PMS, because businesses must run.
Businesses must run. In Nigeria, must have a backup.
Businesses must run, and
of
businesses
course.
in Nigeria
heavily relies on generator.
And now you're looking at dollar volatility. How are SMEs surviving? Now you're looking at dollar volatility against the naira. You're looking at increased cost of logistics. You're looking at the cost of, even landlords are increasing. Unwholesome
taxes from even the government.
We are not even.
That is multiple
taxation from the states, from the local, from the federal,
from the communities,
and from the communities as well. And then you now come back to, after you have done all these things, you now have to still generate your power.
Your own power.
And you still
pay
have
your own
to
security.
Pay, you still have to pay overhead costs.
When I was doing my masters in UST, Professor Jack Osemiri said we are local government.
We are local governments on our own, of course. My senior brother said that.
And by the time he explained, I agree.
You understood.
You have just read out
what you provide. You provide your own water.
Are you not a local government?
You provide your own water. You provide your own light.
So basically, what is the benefit of being a Nigerian at this point?
The benefit of being a Nigerian is that you enter Nigeria.
Except the fact that luckily we do not suffer natural disaster.
But our disasters are our leaders.
Imagine that we have natural disasters in addition to what we
have. It's better we have natural disasters
that the government will come through. Our system can manage.
The government will come through for us. It's better. Like in Philippines, when they're having typhoon, those are the lowland are being evacuated
immediately,
so that after the typhoon, the government builds their tents back and they return them back. But when after Nigeria, I've told you here that when I was studying in UK, one of our lecturers said, the priest lecturer, he said that they envy Nigeria. When you come there, they ask you, is your father this and that? They say, what are you coming to do here? You have everything. Those have traveled, they hear it from the so-called developed nations. They know. They now ask you, what are you doing here? That when after God created the whole world, people were envious of Nigeria. I continue to make this analogy. They were complaining to God, why do you love these people so much? Why did God say I can't retrieve what I've given them? Because what is apart from Congo Democratic, Nigeria is the next nation that God bless so massively. What He buried in our belly, in the belly of our land, is that. So they say that, Laurentia, they say that our own tsunami, God said, don't worry, our own tsunami, our own is our leadership. And that has been our bane in Nigeria. Look at the successive administrations. Where are we? We are even moving 10 steps backwards in each administration that has come to talk hope into our lives. So this is it. So the Nigerian system is not abating our sufferings.
Right.
And those natural resources that God has given us has turned out to be our undoing. Look at gold in Nigeria even.
We are out of time.
Gold, you're talking about petroleum. Look at gold.
But we are out of time. Jamala, your closing statement.
My closing statement, government should take serious about the citizens. It's not all about politics. Yes, you may play politics to find yourself at the apex, but when you've gotten there, please, look down. Even in heaven, which of these... is it Lazarus?
Lazarus.
And the rich man.
And the rich man.
Yes.
The rich man was able to look up to heaven and saw Lazarus. The rich man was able to look down on earth and saw his people. Let our leaders who have risen to the apex consider the masses. The world they live is far different from the world the masses are living. And thank God, Amnesty International is not a political party. Like he said, I was thinking Bayo Nanuga will say Amnesty International have made themselves an annexure of political parties or oppositions.
That was what I was.
But thank God he never said so. So yes, there is sense to what they have admitted. There is starvation, hunger in the land. It is the policies of government that will take away this starvation, this hunger in the land.
All right, very well. Thank you so much, Jamala. It's always a pleasure having you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Laurentia, for the first time. I remember I told you I like calling you Choma.
Yes. Call me Laurentia, but that's very nice. Thank you so much, Ifeanyi Chukwu.
I also struggle with it.
And I'll round it up on this statement. Ifeanyi Chukwu said that what we are suffering in Nigeria, our natural disaster, they are leaders. But then I leave it up to you. I would want to hear your take on that. Do you think that our natural disaster in Nigeria is our leaders? And then what is the way forward at this point? And thank you so much for always staying connected to us. This is where we wrap it up on this episode of Open Conversation. We are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, and on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Do not forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Ugu Laurentia. See you same time tomorrow. Bye for now.